Well, actually, it's that same context, the marriage of God to his people, where we find exactly the same grounds for divorce in the New Testament, because we have not a divorce, but we have the marriage of Christ, the church, being described in exactly these terms. This is a lovely old collection of Bibles. This is Wycliffe translation and Tyndale translation, Cranmer translation, Geneva translation, and Reims, and then the Authorised. All the translations, English translations, leading up to the Authorised version in 1611. And we all know this verse in Ephesians 5:28. Men ought to love their wives as their own bodies. This is before the Authorised version became modernised with new spelling. And no man ever hates his own flesh, but nourisheth and cherisheth it.
So nourish means feed.
Nourish means feed. Cherish is a word which means to keep warm, a word that's used in the Old Testament translation, the Old Testament's Greek translation, for the bird keeping the young warm. It's a rather lovely way of saying feed and clothe, not saying it in a legal way, but saying it in a lovely personal way.
So this love, nourish and cherish are actually, I recognise them from marriage vows.
Well, yes, we use these words to make our marriage ceremonies. This is not a quotation of Exodus, it's an allusion to it. Everyone knew these words, everyone had these words in their marriage certificates. Paul wants to show that when Christ marries his church, he's marrying the church with the same marriage that any marriage takes place in Israel, promising to feed and to clothe and to love his bride. And of course, the bride promises the same back again, to feed and to clothe and to love her husband. Okay. But it's lovely, this wording here. It's not just legal jargonese. It's warm language. To nourish is the word you use for feeding a child or feeding someone you love very much. And cherish is the word for keeping someone warm by hugging them, not just by putting clothes on them.
Okay.
And of course the love of Christ for his church is like no love ever. It is the most supreme love.